It's a pleasure to speak with you all today. I had the chance to see Hard Truths at the Toronto International Film Festival, where Mike, you mentioned beforehand that you think that directors who come out and talk a lot about their film before people have seen it should be shot. So
Yeah.
I'm glad that now I've seen it, but I am curious for those who are fans of yours, what would you like them to know, if anything, before they see the film?
Well, I'm terrified at answering that question because somebody might take me outside on the beach here at Santa Monica and shoot me, in fact. So I'm very reluctant to run that risk. Look, it's a film about life, it's about people, it's about how we live, about, I want people to be enriched by it. I want them to to be able to laugh and cry at life and to relate to it. And the great thing is that in many ways, so many people who've seen the film already um, are able to relate to it. And that they know a pansy or there's a pansy in their lives. But it's not just about pansy, it's about all these characters and about this whole experience. So, that's what I want people to take from it, which is, what you would expect.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll assume for the purposes of this conversation that anyone who's still watching has seen the film, so we can speak freely about it.
Yeah, no, I'd
Did
love
you
to think that there are people who are still watching who have yet to see the film. I hope so.
did you have a Pansy or a Chantal in your life that inspired these characters?
Um, yes, I think so, but it only started to occur to me when we were already on the journey of making it. But, I know, this is X, but I won't say anything more than that because X is very unlikely to be watching this particular.
X might get vexed.
Yes, X get very vexed, especially at that particular comment you've just made.
Well, Marianne and Michelle, I know that you've worked with Mike before many years ago. How has the process changed from Secrets and Lies, and another year to now?
Oh, the process hasn't changed a bit. I mean, I think the only difference this time round was that we probably had less time than before. But I mean, even when we did a play with Mike like 30 years ago or something, and it was exactly the same process in creating the play. So no, thankfully that bit is, that bit hasn't changed and we sort of know what we're doing really.
I mean, what's changed is we're all older and we have more life experience and we maybe are better at our craft. Yeah. But the actual process of doing it, I mean, throwing a pot is throwing a pot, for a potter. And the clay might be more complex in its composition and the potter may become more sophisticated, but the process is the process. Which shows how little I know about pottery, by the way.
Yeah.
No, that's not true. I did it at art school.
Well, Marianne, I remember laughing so much and the whole audience laughing so much throughout this film. What is it like to deliver a performance that is just full of such angry energy, and how does that affect the mood on set? Are you able to get through takes, or what happens there?
Well, basically, you're in character. Do you know what I mean? So it's like you're not really monitoring or watching or preempting or any of those things. You're just reacting to what's sort of being given to you. So yeah, I mean,
it's a very interesting question because you said laughing during takes and all. The interesting thing about the question is this. In most kinds of films, not all, but most, you would no doubt comment on this, both of you. They go for a lot of takes and they stop in the middle of takes and start again and do all that stuff. Actors are a little bit self-conscious, or they're not completely in it, or they, in the context of your question, they suddenly realize what they're saying is amusing, as it makes them laugh and they have to stop. Corpsing, we call it, etc., etc., etc. With this sort of thing, because it's so solid and because it's grown organically and we've distilled it down by a process of scripting very precisely through rehearsal, we don't go for a lot of takes. We don't need to. It's very rare that it collapses because somebody's laughing at what they're doing or because they can't remember the lines. Or occasionally it may happen, but it's usually for some extraneous distracting reason because it's very organic. So in fact, we shoot quite economically, don't we, really? I mean, sometimes it happens that it'll be really good and I'll say cut. And then I'll say, okay, let's go again. And everybody says, why? Well, that was great. Why do you want to go again? And we've already got 3 takes or whatever. And the reason I would do that is because I just know that there'll be nuances of behavior, subtle nuances of behavior. So what we're going to do in the cutting room and the editing afterwards is have choices of real nuances, not choices of between the takes that didn't fuck up, but choices of subtle nuances of that sort of stuff. So in a way, it's not for me to say, but in a way it's different from many a kind of a film where that sort of happens, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Well, then I guess I'll ask a different version of my earlier question, which is for both of you actresses, what is it like working with so many other filmmakers and then coming back to work with Mike? Does it feel like something completely different? Does it feel like returning home?
It feels very different. It feels like it's how you want to do it all the time, actually. Although you know it's not, and you have pleasant experiences working in the conventional way, but this way you have so much more agency. It's so much more collaborative. You get to use your imagination. Michele often says that it's a full body experience that you're having. Yeah.
I mean, I would add that I think that obviously there are amazing directors out there, and I've had incredible experiences with scripted, conventionally scripted work and on set, and people who are again very collaborative. But in this way, it's like this is so unique. I mean, there really is nothing like the way that Mike works, and it feels like a proper imagination workout in the best possible way, because obviously as actors we're storytellers. We love stories, and we want to create, and we don't just want to be a sort of a flesh pawn in a kind of chessboard, and we want to kind of be involved. So I think it is great, this experience, and it is very funny then to sort of go back to a more conventional way of working, where you kind of like you're a bit like, oh right, okay, I'm just sort of plonked slightly in this place where I hadn't imagined that my character would be, or they wouldn't necessarily have that thing. But I do think within filming, things do change, and of course there is collaboration, but with working with Mike, it's as I say, the total body and mind experience.
I think that Pansy is among the most unfiltered characters I've seen in a long time on screen. Is there something therapeutic about just getting to unleash like that?
Actually, there wasn't. People were talking about, is it cathartic? Isn't it? When you get into character and you're playing a character that has been created in that way, that's so realistic and organic, you're just, when he says go into character, you're just in character. You're not thinking about, this feels really good or whatever.
And you're certainly not working out your own anxieties or your own, it's not therapeutic in that sense.
Yeah, it's not therapeutic in that sense.
Yeah.
I mean, had it been a scripted piece and I'd read it and studied it and all that, I dare say I could have used it to sort of maybe,
But in a way, that's such an academic thing, because it couldn't be scripted,
Yeah, no.
No one could sit down and write it, because that's not how it worked. You couldn't arrive at. I mean, the scene when they go back to the flat on Mother's Day, the things that go on in that scene, for example, although what I'm saying applies to the whole film, you couldn't sit and write that. I mean, it has to have come out organically from improvisations and all the previous work over the years of their lives that lead up to that moment.
Mm.
You mentioned that you think this is something that can be very relatable to people, and I'm sure throughout your careers you've had people come up to you tell you that they can relate to your characters. But I imagine people aren't necessarily saying "I am Pansy"; they're saying "I know a Pansy."
Oh, you'd be surprised. I've met a
Okay.
couple of female pansies and male pansies, and I always sort of say to them, I think you're a bit too self-aware to be a pansy. But a few people have confessed.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That is really interesting. Have you had different experiences screening the film based on where you are, different locations, festivals,
No,
etc.? Or do you find
not really. I mean, we first showed it, as you know, because you said, at TIFF, at Toronto. Then we went to San Sebastian because we have Spanish main backers, and so we went there, which is a great film festival, as you know. So at that point in time, we'd only ever seen it with the audiences, apart from our cast and crew, which doesn't really count, in Toronto. The laughter at the beginning of the film was identical in both Toronto and San Sebastian. They were identical to each other. And bearing in mind that the screening in San Sebastian had Spanish and Basque subtitles, but still everything got through to that audience. And on the whole, really, we then screened it in New York at the film festival and at the London Film Festival. And I won't include some industry screenings because they're industry screenings, but the general reaction has been amazing, basically.
Yeah.
And the same, to answer your question, pretty much the same, really.
Same in Paris, Rome, and Copenhagen.
Oh, yeah, you've been to
as
all those
well.
other ones, of course.
Yeah, it's interesting. There are pansies everywhere.
Well, I also know that I would love for this film to be an awards consideration, and one of the ways that that's happening is people are probably watching this film at home via a screener. Do you think something is taken away from that experience without people to sort of engage with it around you?
It's a tough one. I don't, in the end, if I'm going to be completely honest, I hope not, and I don't think so, really, because, I mean, first of all, it's not a Gladiator 2, you know, it's not a big scale period movie, and I've made some of those, as you know. It is an intimate film, but apart from that, I mean, you know, the people that watch it on the screen, on their computers, or however they watch it, in the way that we're talking about, are sophisticated enough. People are used to watching movies on their home screens. It's not, you know, it's great to see a film in a cinema, in a theatrical environment. It's great, you know, when you not to be able to go to the toilet in the middle and all that. Not that that stopped people doing it in the theatre, by the way. It's great to have the sound and picture experience on a big scale, but it's not the be all and end all anymore. It really isn't. People can really get the whole thing however they watch it. I mean, for God's sake, I don't really want people to watch it on their mobiles, on their cells, because I think that is disgusting. But hey, you know, look, in the end, as long as people see it, however they see it, that's the main thing, obviously.
Well, before I let you go, could you each share with me one film that you've seen this award season that's really sticking with you?
Girl with the Needle.
Oh, don't know that one.
Yeah.
Oh, where's
Danish.
that? Danish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Well, Amelia Perez is pretty cool.
Well, I watched the other day, I just watched Anona. Is that what it's called?
Anora.
Which I think is brilliant, actually. It's really good. I've got a lot of time for Sean films, and I think that is rock solid. And, you know, it takes you by storm, because at first you think, I don't know how much I want to watch these kids jumping around in bed, you know. I think, is this what it is? You know, and then it's good. But then suddenly it takes a leap And boy, is it good. And it's so well acted right across the board. You know, the smallest parts are so well cast and realized. You know, no, it's I'm very impressed by that film.
Well, thank you all so much for a fantastic conversation. It was so nice to meet you.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you very much.